Hello, Bigfoot enthusiast. Scott here from Squatch America.
And Hannah, the domestic goddess, domestic goddess, chief cook, and doggy mom in the paddy wagon.
Oh my gosh,
that was horrible.
Take 1 week off and she loses everything.
I know, it's terrible. Hey, why don't you play the thing?
Play the intro?
The intro, yes.
All right. So we got a great, first we got to say we got a great show for you tonight. It's going to be interesting. I'm going to be talking about Bigfooting in 2023, and we're going to be talking about Bigfoot researchers, probably behind their backs. So stay tuned. No, I was just kidding.
No, he wasn't.
I didn't mean that at all.
Yes, you did. Oh, just be honest.
All right. So tonight, I want to say hi, Donna and Mopar Bill and Renee. Who else is
David
in here?
is on, and Mike Casey, and that's okay. So Michelle, hello.
All right. Welcome to the normal crowd.
Normal crowd. We've got a special announcement tonight.
Do we?
Yes.
What is it?
Didn't you want to do that now? He doesn't tell me anything.
I don't know anything anyway. So yeah, well, let's get the special now, and then we'll get into this like hot topic we're going to be talking about tonight.
Super hot topic.
So
yes.
Make sure like, subscribe, do all that.
Like, subscribe, share this video out into the YouTube algorithms because we're not favorites on this platform. They won't share our stuff.
So anyway, we want to talk about. So go over and join us on Patreon if you can. And speaking of Patreon, I got to find the button. Here we go.
We would like to welcome David Boothroyd to our Patreon family. Thank you so much. A little bit later in this show, we are going to be sharing why that is going to be so significant for all of you Patreons and why you want to be a Patreon. We also want to surreptitiously, I used a big word, surreptitiously thank an existing Patreon member who upgraded their membership to the top tier, which we appreciate more than you know.
And they said not to call her out, but
they wanted a wink. So
there you go.
There's your wink.
There's your wink.
Thank you so much for all of you who support us. And I want to actually welcome a new audience tonight, because not only are we on YouTube, we are also streaming live on Facebook. So if you are in our Facebook audience, please drop something in the comments. Say hi, hello, how are you? Keeping it squatchy.
We got to cover Eric.
Eric is on Facebook. Awesome. Yes, drop something in there, and please do the same thing on Facebook that you do here. Like, subscribe to like the page, like the video, share the video. We are experimenting with Facebook because maybe Zuck will be nicer to us than YouTube has been.
Than Google. Yeah. All right. So let's get into this like hot topic. It's a hot topic. So
that's actually a skanky girl's clothing store.
It is. So, so tonight I wanted to talk about Bigfoot, our Bigfoot research, what's coming up in 2023. And let's talk about Bigfoot researchers. Now, what prompted me to do this is we get messages from time to time from different people giving us suggestions or telling us how horrible we are or how great we are. It's social media is what happens.
People all have the right. Hey, that is the beauty of this country. You have the right to your opinion, the right to say it. So
that's
we don't have to agree with you. Moving on, go have a nice cup of coffee.
Yeah, but we got this message, and I wanted to talk about it, but I'm also going to bring in other researchers, or talk about other researchers and how this topic applies. So here's the message. Hannah's going to read it for us.
Okay. A would-be expert needs a solid scientific background in the basic math, chemistry, physics, and biology. Also, Native American culture and folklore. A forensic science class that covers evidence collection. A class in forensic interviewing. I have that, by the way.
Yeah.
Primatology and additional classes in human evolution, ecology, the botany of North America, field zoology. Then the student is ready for a series of supervised coverage of topics like eye biology and
The Tatum lucidum,
thank you.
which we talked about. We actually have a video. We talked about that.
That is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Infrasound and the difference between Bigfoot tree breaks in stick structures and naturally occurring ones.
So
First of all, I deserve something for getting all those words out of my
you
mouth.
did. So actually, I've had a class in primatology, forensic, not forensic interviewing, but forensic evidence gathering, that which is also archaeology.
You've had classes in primatology and human evolution,
in human evolution,
Native American culture,
and Native American culture is my expertise. And I did some math once.
Chemistry?
No, I wasn't so good in chemistry.
Physics? Now, are we talking Newtonian physics or quantum physics? Because I'm more the quantum physics person,
Right.
And he's more the Newtonian. And the two do not play well together in the same sandbox, but that is what it is.
So like I said, do we need all this stuff? Now, here's what I want to point out. We are going to talk about some Bigfooters from the past, basically. So the first one, and tell me in the chat, people, if you can hear this or if the audio's funky,
Yes.
because I'm not sure how this works.
I agree with Donna, by the way. She's got a confused look on her face.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
It said you need all that stuff to be a Bigfooter, but we're going to get to that. Okay. So
don't be dismayed.
So I'd like to introduce you to one of the first old timey Bigfooters.
We've been searching for Bigfoot for 40 years. And in that time, how many sightings would you guess you've had?
You mean in person?
Yeah.
None.
Yet you seem so sure of his existence.
There are too many clues and too much evidence to be ignored.
Like the Patterson film.
It clearly shows a creature too large to be human.
And if you ever came face to face with the beast, Renee, how would you catch it?
If you studied the film like I have,
Yeah.
you will see that the creature moves like a human.
Right.
I would estimate that it has a top speed of 15 kilometers per hour, and at that speed I would be able to run it down.
You must be in good shape.
Of course, I train, I exercise, I am prepared.
Good. It's been said Sasquatch prefers.
All right. So
could you all hear that? That's the first question.
First question. And secondly, secondly, this is Renee DeHenden, and I also want to point out, he said he was going to run Bigfoot down if he had to catch him. And I don't think that's going to happen. But what I wanted to say in this is this is a commercial, a TV commercial that he did. So a lot of the stuff he might have said in this commercial is maybe a little corny. But I know how that goes. And so, because I think a lot of us get, how do I put this?
When
some of us have done stupid commercials themselves, like this one.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Scott, and this is Oregon.
Showing them the whole thing.
We are Sasquatching or Bigfooting. We are actively doing research looking for an undiscovered primate in North America. I like the adventure. I like the hunt, the search. I absolutely love it when I find stuff. Today, we're going to bring Bigfoot to us. We're going to whoop, we're going to tree knock, and we're going to look for any of their markers that mark their territory.
All right, so that was a corny Nike commercial that I was in a couple years ago.
That was a lot of fun, actually.
Actually, it was a lot of fun, but
sometimes, and I want to give Mr. DeHenden a little bit of credit, not to diss on him or anything, but sometimes actually when people get in front of a camera in a situation like that, they aren't thinking as concisely and clearly as they might otherwise.
Or they're prompted to by
they're-
the director,
Yes.
whoever's directing the thing, to say things and do things.
Would you ever say on TV, we're going to whoop, we're going to
No, I wouldn't. So anyway, so I wanted to get to this. This is Rene DeHinden, some older photos of him, and he was part of the group that cast and did the research on Cripplefoot in Washington. So he actually has a lot of experience, and he was like one of the pioneers in the North American Bigfoot researching in history. Now here's another one. I forget. I got to click.
Paul Freeman, also a hunter, says he has seen Bigfoot a couple of times. We took Paul up in a small plane to look for Bigfoot above the remote Blue Mountains. He first spotted the creature in 1982.
Down there is where I saw him. On that ridge down there, yeah. I think the Sasquatch or Bigfoot was on the other side of this little patch of timber here watching those elk, because that's why they were so spooky. He come right down past this bush here and down this this bush here and stepped right out into the road, and then he just turned and looked at me, and I started backing away.
All right, so this guy is none other than Paul Freeman, and we had his son on a couple weeks ago on our show, and he was another legend in the Bigfoot world who also got caught up in doing weird commercials, and some of the interviews they twisted on him, and
with the intent of
discrediting him. So
I like what Pyro says here.
Mm-hmm.
You want to flip that up, or Pyro says he's not sure about the scientific piece, but it sure became religious quick like.
Very true.
Are you going to talk about that later?
We're going to get to that. So here's another one of the old timey researchers. I love digging around and finding all these old clips.
This is like your favorite guy here.
Yeah. So click.
What about others in the research field? You and I have talked about this before, about the acrimony between all of these different individuals. You and Rene DeHinden, for example, don't see eye to eye at all. Tell me why that happens.
We have a problem with people in the real world who are trying to bring in the definitive proof of the Sasquatch. These people are basically all hunters who are trying to shoot the first specimen and bring it in. A lot of them will not admit that that's what they're doing, but unless they're pretty stupid, that's exactly what they're after. Now, each of them knows full well that there's going to be some substantial prize for bringing in the first Sasquatch. They also know, if they've given it any thought at all, that the scientific world will immediately take over, and there will not only be no second prize, but if you shoot the second one, you've broken a serious law. So all these hunters are trying to not only win that prize, but I think they're spending more time and effort trying to prevent the other guy from getting it than they are trying to do it themselves. Now, those who are really devoted to it, if they really devote their lives to this, all their life is to search for the Sasquatch. That's their only claim to fame. When it is found, they're going to be shoved aside by the scientists and become nothing. They don't want this to happen. They want either the mystery to remain or that they find it. That science ever takes over and shoves them aside is very frightening to them. Now, there are some of these hunters and investigators who are very nervous about me because I may be nudging the scientific world into acceptance. And because of that, they would do anything they can to stop my investigation.
All right, folks. So that is Dr. Grover Krantz from Washington State University. And he's an eccentric guy, let me tell you. Some of these photos, like one of the photos you see up here, is he actually built himself a Cro-Magnon face piece.
That's a great Halloween mask.
Well, he put that on there to see why humans in the past had those large
brows.
Yeah, well, it's called the orbital. Anyway,
Whatever.
but anyway, but
Well, it's kind of like a built-in
so
sun
he let
visor.
it, so he let his hair grow, and he wore that around all summer, on campus as a professor, just to see what the purpose was. And his conclusion was it keeps the hair out of your eyes.
Well, I was going to say, it's like having a built-in baseball cap, man. Keeps the sun out of your eyes, too.
Yeah, and if you want to see Dr. Grover Cranston, you ever get to Washington, D.C., you see the picture of him and his dog, and you see the picture of the skeleton and the dog skeleton. That's actually his skeleton.
Them.
That's his dog. That's his skeleton, and they're actually on display in the Smithsonian. So
that is if you ever actually want to go to Washington, D.C. in the near future.
Yep. And I like what Renee said. She said he called.
Yeah. Holy shiza, he called it.
Yep, he called it. He did call it, and that's what's going to happen too. But luckily, nobody's bagged one yet. But here's the deal: they mentioned in the beginning of that interview the difference between Renee DeHinden and Dr. Krantz. Now, Renee faked some footprint casts. Faked a footprint, cast it, sent it to Dr. Krantz to see if he could fool him, which he didn't, by the way, but just to see if he could. Later on in life, Renee DeHinden also thought so much of himself is he used to go to these Bigfoot conferences, and he would stay in the back and just heckle everybody else. Now here's for example, here's a video that I found, and this is with gosh, his name he's been on our show. What's his name? Daniel Perez. I had to remember it for a sec. This is Daniel Perez. He was on our show.
Oh gosh, a year and a half
ago. But anyway, but Daniel's been in this Bigfoot research stuff for a long time. He runs a week or monthly newsletter that he puts out still for years.
A real newsletter, not an email letter.
Yeah,
actually paper.
Mails it to you. Yeah. So, and I still get it every month. So anyway, but he, this is him speaking at a conference, and you see what Renee did.
You have the opportunity to ask the questions after my talk. No, I want to rebuttal that. If you want to rebuttal, okay. If you want to go toe to toe right now, that's fine. Let's do it. Okay, now.
Just a moment. See, I think Perez is supposed to give a presentation at this time. He will give it. Yeah, but we have a fight afterwards. Ready? We'll do it after.
It's just. All I'm saying is it's going to break up the continuity of my.
What are you doing? You just stopped.
Oh, sorry.
You have an opportunity.
Sorry.
This is more of a
Hannah's clicking things.
As opposed to what I'm just taking an opposite view, because one is inclined to say that yes, you can make a convincing argument to debunk the film. Well, you see, I'm not related my speech sitting on the problem to you. That's not what I came for. You see, but I asked you have an opportunity to ask questions after. Hold your questions, please. You mean we have to shovel our way out of the what? See, no, like I said earlier, if this speech bothers you, please leave. No, look, I asked you. But you have the right to ask questions, but after my talk. Please. Okay. End of discussion.
Oh my gosh, I could hear my father and my grandfather going at it with each other with that. Holy Jew in the Bronx.
I know.
Wow.
Well, actually, he was from I can't remember, Austria.
Who, Renee?
Renee.
Yeah.
But what I wanted to talk about is these Bigfoot researchers in the past and that list of stuff the science you have to learn that was sent to me. And here's these guys. And I want to, with a little note, I want to talk to you about who these guys are. So this guy here is Rene DeHinden. Do you know what he did for a living? He was a dairy farm worker, a cowhand, basically. That's what he did. He had zero scientific background. What he did was he milked cows. And later on in life, I know when he passed away, what he was doing, he was working at a shotgun range, vacuuming up the BBs out in the field so they could reload. So that's Rene DeHinden. This guy here. Now these some of the.
And Pyro, we'll get to your question in a minute.
Okay, and this guy here, his name's Peter Byrne. And if you don't know who Peter Byrne is, he was a professional mountain guide. He's the one who found some footprints in the Himalayas. He actually, I think he's still alive. He lives in the Dalles, Oregon. But he's got to be really old right now. But anyway, so he started, I think that it's called the North America Bigfoot Research Center. Don't quote me on that, but I think that's what it still is. And so he's been looking, but like I said, he was just a mountain guide and a hiker. This guy here's name's Bob Gimlin. Everybody knows who he is.
Still very much alive and kicking and beating those shamanic drums.
Yes, yeah. So he's been around for a long time, and he was a cowboy. That's what he did. He was a cowboy. Bucking horses and stuff like that. This is Dr. Grover Krantz. We talked about him a little bit, professor of anthropology in Washington State University. He's one of the few scientists that were actually promoting Bigfoot research back in the day. This here's Paul Freeman. We talked about Paul and his life with his son a couple of weeks ago, but Paul was a Forest Service worker. He was just to maintain the watershed area and basically keep people out of where they're not supposed to be. He was also a legend in the Bigfoot world. Found more evidence than I think anybody, to be honest with you. This is another guy back in the day, John Green. John Green is from Canada. Another big name in the Bigfoot world. Another guy that Rene DeHinden went after a lot. But John Green wrote several books. I should have pulled them out. I have those. About Bigfoot and Bigfoot research and casts and footprints and things like that. And he traveled all over as a reporter. He was a newspaper reporter. So he wrote for a newspaper in Canada, and he just followed the Bigfoot story. And that's what he did. This guy here is named Ivan Marks. Now, Ivan Marks is an interesting fellow. He did make a movie about Bigfoot, about him finding Bigfoot, and videotaped it. It was all fake. But he started out in that, I didn't keep the original picture, but if we went back to that picture,
we've got some Ivan Marks photos, don't we?
Hand them to me right there. Yeah. He was in on that Cripplefoot cast stuff too. He was up there and part of that find and doing the research. But Ivan Marks, if you want to know what he was, if you can see this, here, I'll go full screen for you so I can hold this up. He was a hunting guide for bears and lions. And these are some of his...
These are original photos.
Original photos of that he took while he was hunting mountain lions. There's a bear. There's him poking a mountain lion with a stick. Not the brightest thing in the world to do. But in fact, these photos here were given to me a couple years ago by a guy who was I can't remember. He was related to a Forest Service worker, and it's actually signed on the back of here by Ivan Marks himself, and it says, "To Bob Moffett, friend, constable of the Central Valley, Shasta County out of Redding, California, in
We got
1963.
that when we were in Anderson last year.
Yeah. What?
Anyway, so what is
What?
the
What are you poking at?
I'm looking at the fact that we have a little bit of a kerfuffle discussion in our
What?
chat tonight.
What?
So let's talk about
What?
the controversy surrounding Paul Freeman. Some people think he was the biggest hoaxer ever. Other people defend him to the death.
But we'll
We'll get to that. So please put your kerfuffle on hold.
Yeah, if you want to know the facts about Paul Freeman, there's a book that was written by his son and several other people, and I happen to personally know not just his son, but people who were out in the field with him at the time. And
Anyway,
and so we'll get to that. I don't think he hoaxed anything. There was a Good Morning America thing that came up, and they edited it to make it look like he was faking.
yeah, they cut off half of
his answer. So there's Ivan Marks, who actually did fake stuff. Well, he didn't fake prints and stuff like that. He just made a movie that proved that he tracked down Bigfoot. But
okay, moving on.
Moving on. This is John Biggernagel.
Starting to have anxiety.
I know, John Bindernagel, wildlife biologist. He is one of the two original actually educated scientists. He was a wildlife biologist who found footprints. He's also out of Canada. He just recently passed away, probably in the last year. He was one of the two scientists, and of course, none other than Roger Patterson himself, who's a Bigfoot hunter, also a cowboy.
He grew up across the street from his old house.
Yeah, Hannah grew up across the street from his house. But anyway, he ran a roofing business, so he was also not a scientist. So out of all these guys, there's only two people who were educated, formally educated. I'm going to preface that. Formally educated. So out of that list, how many of these guys had any of this stuff?
I would say that Dr. Grover Krantz had the human evolution.
That was his thing.
Forensic science, perhaps, maybe not forensic, but
he knows about human evolution and
evidence collection
and bone structure.
Yep. And probably evidence collection.
Yep.
So.
And Dr. Bindernagel had a degree in wildlife biology, which isn't even on that list.
Well, biology
is.
And zoology is.
Yeah. That's kind of the same.
Yeah.
So out of all these guys who are actually the most, I should say, the most well-known of the original Bigfooters back in the 60s, there's only two of them that have that education. But I want to talk to you now. This is going to take a twist on us. So I'm going to talk to you about another not famous Bigfooter that was finding footprints and had multiple sightings, reoccurring sightings. And that's one of my favorite Bigfooters. This is back in the day.
But before we do that, we're going to leave them hanging because we have got to take a break for station identification.
Oh my gosh, listen to her. So what do you want? What's coming up?
Why don't we just start at the while he's trying to figure out what to put up, please go to like this video, share this video. If you're on Facebook, like and share, subscribe, do all those things, click the bells and the whistles and the ding ding goes the trolley. You please go buy our merch at squatchamerica.com. We are getting ready to go on the road, and so we may see you. I saw gal that's going to try to be in Kelso with us in 3 weeks. We will have t-shirts and stuff with us, but we never have enough. We always sell out. So please go get your t-shirt, your coffee mug, your beautiful Van Gogh knockoff from squatchamerica.com. And you can buy our merch to support the search. And with diesel prices, we really appreciate that. So here's what's coming up.
Yeah, coming up, Squatch America, or the Squatch Fest in Kelso, Washington.
Yep.
It's in Longview, Washington.
They're
but
the same city.
But it's actually Kelso. But anyway, so I'll be one of the guest speakers there, and there's going to be Cliff Barrickman, Shane Corson, Jeff Meldrum, Mark Marcel, myself, and Kathy Strain. And a little heads up, and next week on our, well, I'll get to that later.
Yes.
So the first guest speaker will be speaking at 10:30 on the 28th. Will be Jeff Meldrum.
Did you ever notice how much like Dr. Krantz he looks?
He does. Anyway,
when I saw that clip of Dr. Krantz, I went, "Boy, Jeff's looking a little bit peaked these days."
Yeah. So, and then right after Dr. Jeff, I'm speaking at 12 o'clock. And so the rest of the speakers will be Mark Marcel, who is a wonderful
hilarious guy.
Awesome guy.
Him. Shane.
And Shane at 3, Kathy Strain at 4:30, and Cliff Bergman at 6. So we've got those dates and times and all that stuff.
Man,
so
that's a long day.
That's a long day.
And I will be sitting looking pretty at the booth the whole time. So please come bring me an Americano with steamed heavy cream.
There we go. And we'll see you, Mike. Mike's going to be there. So I know I saw him on Facebook the other day where he bought his tickets already. So awesome.
Okay.
So anyway, so who is this mystery master of Bigfooting? Okay, here's a video.
That is the creepiest looking thing I ever did see.
Yeah. You can barely hear him, but he's talking about how the Bigfoots always appear to him hiding behind trees. So if you know who this guy is, throw it in the chat before I tell you. So there he is. One of my favorite Bigfooters.
Probably, yeah. You're getting to look a bit like him.
I'm trying to look like him. That's who I'm trying. If Jeff wants to look like Krantz, I'm going to look like him. This guy his name is Datus Perry. He's from Carson, Washington. He's passed away, of course. But I'm going to tell you something interesting about him. He was just a trapper, and he had a cabin up in the middle of the woods. And he used to talk about how the Bigfoot used to come to his cabin and just look at him. In fact, he said there was a female Bigfoot that he was worried about because he didn't know her intentions with him. So, but anyway, but interesting guy. So he made this cutout with this almost comical pyramid on the top of its head, the sagittal crest.
It looks like a pyramid of poo.
It does. But that's when he talked about Bigfoot, he used to express the point that if they don't have a cone head, it isn't a Bigfoot. So
now, what were his qualifications?
What was his qualifications? None of those. But I'll tell you what all these people have, and this is where I'm getting to the twist. All these people have a piece of the puzzle. What we take for granted is we're so busy telling each other that, you know, my evidence is better than your evidence, but I don't think
nobody's listening to each other.
Nobody's listening to each other to the fact that, or none of these guys were. Now today's a little bit different, but none of these guys were trying to be, like Grover Krantz said, the first guy to bag one of these things to get the accolades. But what we've passed over is each one of these guys had critical pieces of the puzzle. Even Datus Perry, when he's talking about the sagittal crest, nobody was pointing that out. And I know he kind of went overboard with it, but he pointed out that, you know, this thing has a pointy head, you know. So that was his piece of the puzzle. And all these guys had pieces of the puzzle.
I think this could be kind of where Pyro was going. He says it got to be religious so fast. And in religion, that's what you see. We have the whole puzzle. Nobody else has another piece. And if you think you have another piece, you're wrong.
Right. Your piece
doesn't count.
Doesn't count. And so I think today's a little bit different.
Oh, not much.
Now here's some of the people that we've had on the last year, just to kind of, I need to get rid of us in the corner, but yeah, these are some of our guests we've had on last year, and each one of these people have a piece of the puzzle. They have something that they have found or something that has affected them to get them into this research that has changed their lives. And not all of us have the same piece of the puzzle.
And
so it takes all of us actually to put this puzzle together.
My gosh, honey, the old preacher in you is coming out.
Yeah. Don't tell anybody. Okay.
No, because we don't play in that sandbox anymore.
So
oh, I like what Gordon just said. Don't be like the three blind guys describing an elephant.
Yeah.
No one felt the whole elephant.
Right.
So.
Yep. And this guy said, who's it?
Grover Krantz was also very critical of bad reports getting to the general Bigfoot databases. Good information is critical. Yes.
Yes. Now I'm going to get to that too. So moving right along here.
Yes, that is Ron Moorhead on the bottom right. And he's probably got the quirkiest piece of the puzzle ever, which is why I like him so much, because I like the quirky pieces of the puzzle.
Yeah. Like I said, all these people are that we've had on our show are Bigfooters. I don't look at them as one more famous than the other. I meant Cliff Barrickman's there, Tom Cantrell,
John Mellon,
one of our guys. I mean, we've got the Squatch and Cowboy from Texas and Shane Corson from the Olympic Project. You know,
we have all sorts of folks,
and they all have different perspectives. You know, Alex Petterkoff from Small Town
and
Monsters.
Carrick St. Lawrence. Carrick
St. Lawrence.
I can't say his name, but he's the sweetest guy.
Yeah.
Matt from Matt Squatch. I mean, all these, and here's the thing: every last single one of these people is a people. They get up in the morning, they have to pee, they have to put pants on if they're going to go out into the regular world.
Yep.
And honestly, no matter how much accolade that we give to these people, not one of them is more important than anyone else.
Right there.
Okay, sorry. There's my soapbox.
So Linda asked what episode. I don't remember what episode.
Just start searching.
If you go back and then click on our channel and then go to the live shows and just scroll down, you'll find Ron. His photo will be on the whatever they call it.
The thumbnail.
Thumbnail. All right. So out of all those people that I showed you, past and present Bigfooters, like just for perspective, Cliff Barrickman, 13 seasons. I think it was 13 seasons on Finding Bigfoot. Prominent Bigfooter, ghost speaker at all the conferences now.
Fourth grade teacher.
He was a fourth grade teacher. So.
And let me tell you what, no one is smarter than grade school teachers. They got to know everything. But I doubt if tapetum lucidum was part of his teacher training. Just saying.
Just saying. So out of all this stuff, I wanted to talk about, this is the one thing you need to know as a Bigfoot researcher. This is the only thing you need to start with. All that other stuff will come later. And like I said, there's a whole bunch of the stuff that I can plug in that I've studied. But I've been doing this for 25 years and it took me a while to get there.
That would be a fun show. You could do a show on all the stuff you did as a beginning Bigfooter.
Yeah. All the mistakes I made.
Yeah. That'd be fun.
But anyway, evidence collection is the only thing you really need to start with. And the other thing you need to start with is you actually need to go out and look for Bigfoot. Because we're not going to find anything until, oh, there it goes.
We're not going to find anything until
Why
what?
isn't it doing
I don't
thing?
know, because you have to click the actual slide.
There we go. Anyway, so.
PowerPoint
look.
perils.
Oh, look.
What?
Isn't that cool? All
Hey,
right.
look.
But Mike Casey says William
Jennings' books are
Jennings'
awesome
books.
in explaining evidence collecting. I also like what Pyro said, that all those people, not all of them, have had a Class A sighting, even with all their years.
Nope. I don't think Renee DeHinden never saw one.
He said he didn't.
Yeah, Paul Freeman did. Roger and Bob Gemlin, Roger Patterson, Bob Gemlin did. I think that's it.
Yeah.
Actually.
Okay.
So
go out there and look.
Go out there and look. So with that said, don't feel you have to be the best scientist in the world. You just have to have a piece of the puzzle. Now, the great thing about Squatch America I want to talk about.
But before you do that.
What?
Do we want to talk about what's coming tomorrow on Patreon?
Yeah, real quick. Just if you're on Patreon, go ahead.
Okay, so here's why you want to go to page as soon as we get off the air. You want to go to patreon.com/SquatchAmerica and join our Patreon family. Just like David Boothroyd did. We've got a few others of you who are on Patreon, but starting tomorrow night for Patreon members only, and you can be a $5 member, you can be a $50 member. It doesn't matter. In fact, if we have $1,005 members, hey, we are just going to be so happy. But starting tomorrow night, the first Friday of every month, we are going to be having a live chat with a boots on the ground researcher. And by live chat, we do not mean one of these. We mean you get the link, you come in the studio with us, and you sit at the table and can talk face to face, mano y mano. I don't know whether anyway. Where it is like you sitting in the same room with real life, like I said, boots on the ground, searchers and researchers, and you can ask your questions directly. These are for Patreon members only. So they will be videoed. I mean, you'll be in studio. We will be recording them, but we will not be putting these on YouTube or Facebook at all. They will stay on the Patreon platform for you to go back and watch. Mm-hmm. So really good. It's like having your very own live, however long it goes, 1 hour, 2 hours, whatever, mm-hmm. Your very own. It's like we're going to bring a piece of a convention talk to you if you're a Patreon member.
All right. So that's one of our goals for Patreon. So anyway,
I didn't know if it was on your thing.
It is.
Oh, I'm sorry. Well, you're going to hear it again.
No, we'll just
see. He doesn't tell me anything.
But I want to talk about all these people have a piece of the puzzle. I did talk about that, but what I wanted to talk about is some of the goals for Squatch America. Now, here's the deal. Like I didn't finish what I was going to say about gathering evidence. The fact is you do not have to have an anthropological degree like I do to be able to cast the track. To be able to discern what that track is, if it's faked or not, that's subjective most of the time anyway. But, they are people who have that piece of the puzzle, who can figure that out. And that's one of the goals for Squatch America. And that's one of the purposes of Squatch America, of what we do, is our job is not to explain.
Our job is to explain it's to investigate the unexplained.
Not to explain the uninvestigated. And in order to investigate stuff, we have people who know what this stuff is. We over the last 5 or 6 years have connected with so many of these people, like in the Bigfoot world, who have the expertise in different areas. Is what we're here to do is just to share that information. You find a cast, we're going to send it to somebody like Jeff to tell me, yeah, yay or nay. Does he think it's real? Does he think it's not?
Or does he not know?
Does he not know?
Because honestly, Patty, he didn't.
Donna.
No, Donna, he did not know.
He did not know. He couldn't tell you if your cast was a Bigfoot or not. He said the photo of the print was very Bigfoot. The cast, there's a couple little things he wasn't sure about. So he don't know. So
you stumped Dr. Meldrum.
That's it. So, and we still get stumped because we're finding stuff that doesn't exist and we don't know, how to classify some of this stuff. But part of our job here at Squatch America is to take what Squatch Americans, you guys, find and you send to us to verify with the people who know we can get it to the right place. And then we can get it back to you and say, hey, look what you found. You got it.
The other thing I want to bring up too is what makes really good research is not just knowing what's what, it's knowing what questions to ask.
Exactly. So,
and sometimes we don't know.
Okay. Yeah. And like I said, sometimes, I don't know all the questions. That was one of the first things I learned in anthropology school is like, oh, I was asking the wrong questions. Once I learned things. Okay. So anyway, so here's our goals for 2023. I'm trying to see how long we've been on. Okay.
We've been on for 46 minutes.
Okay.
Bingo over.
All right. We're going to continue our field research because what's the point if you don't? Tell you guys to go out and look for Bigfoot if we don't go out and look for Bigfoot. And I love going out to look for Bigfoot. We do it all the time. In fact, we live full time in the woods just for that purpose. And we're going to continue to meet with all you guys. So when we're traveling around the country, and we do have a plan to get across the country a couple times this year, if we're in your area, we definitely want to meet up with you and just say hi. Okay. We want to continue taking the reports and doing interviews like we do. One of the great things that us traveling has afforded us is to meet
awesome people
and to get reports from awesome people and to interview them and talk to people about Bigfoot. And then another thing of course we do is share the information. We share the information that we get with the people who can verify it. And also we share it out to you guys on this channel. So there's that. And well, I just said that, didn't I? So we want to get the evidence to the experts for the evaluation. And like I said, no, it's kind of hard to call people experts in this.
Oh, it's all made up. Honestly, yeah. Think about it. Every last bit of human existence is made up. Yeah. So experts, meaning they know how to ask the right questions. How about that? An expert knows what questions to ask.
Right. And one thing I want to point out is in the, going to college, and I've worked on archaeological digs, and learning the history of like anthropology itself. 90% of the biggest finds in the anthropological world were not by professors or colleges or these digs. There was just Joe out there in the field.
Shepherds finding the Dead Sea Scrolls.
Exactly. So there's that,
Renee, we would love to call you on the way back from Kelso, but we aren't coming back from Kelso until July.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Sorry. Yep. So that's another thing. If you go to our website, you can see the calendar where we're going to be. So, and this year I want to try to, I've been saying this for a long time, and I'm
do working, or do not. There is no try.
Yeah.
We've got file folders full of reports.
I've got a whole big case down there of reports. but what I want to do is get all these reports that we've collected over the years and get them into a database that's searchable, so we can help get that into the that app, the Bigfoot Mapping Project. So ours will be in the Bigfoot Mapping Project too, and also on our website. That's the database thing, which I am really bad at. So if you know anybody who knows computer stuff, let me know.
I'm not even a good databaser.
Right. And another thing we're going to be launching, and Hannah wants to talk about this, we're going to be launching Bigfoot U.
Bigfoot U, yes. Yes. So here's the dealio. I am an educator. I have 3 master's degrees in various fields of
Education.
social sciences and education, and why not put that to good use? So several days every week we work on course development for Bigfoot U, and we are hoping to launch this later this year. And the tagline is Bigfoot U, finding your piece of the puzzle, so that you can put yourself in that jigsaw puzzle with other researchers. And by the way, Prairie Fire, welcome. Thank you for coming on. And we did not even touch all the researchers. So Thomas Steenberg.
Yep. And his partner, Bill Miller, who recently passed away.
So
I didn't, there's thousands out there I'm sure I missed. Yeah. So
right now,
and there's the Ohio Bigfoot Project.
There's
those guys,
so many.
There's so many.
There are thousands. Thank goodness. Was Bigfoot U, we are trying to determine whether or not it's going to be a membership program or just a straight online course program. We haven't figured out all those details. We really are just putting the foundation in place right now. But however we decide to launch it, it will be a way that we can take what we know and what our colleagues know and put them together in easy to follow educational units for you, so that you can be confident when you go out there that you know what you're doing.
Exactly. And we're going to start with evidence collection. I'll guarantee you that.
Okay, then.
So there's that. So that's going to be later on this year. And we're going to produce more for Patreon. We already talked about that.
Yes, and because someone pointed out to me that I forgot something, the Patreon chat tomorrow is at 5 p.m. So check your email. We will be posting.
That's Pacific time.
Pacific time, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. Figure it out in the middle of the country. 9 p.m. Atlantic if we have anyone over there by New Brunswick. So make sure you're checking your emails, because we will post something in Patreon and Patreon will email. So you'll have to go to Patreon to get the link.
Yep. So there's that. And that's my point. There's a couple pieces of the puzzle out here in the Bigfoot world we need to fill in. One of them is actual, like that clip from Grover Krantz said, we're going to have to put a body on a table. And I agree with that myself. Am I planning to go out and shoot a Bigfoot? No. Am I planning to, have I got a lot of weird ideas to try to find a dead body? Yes. I've been working on that for a while. So any more for the good of the order, throw it in the chat. Any questions?
I find this interesting. Is it Bodhi or Body? Anyway, I like to say Bodhi because we had a dog named Bodhi. I believe that was a Hindu deity. No.
But it might
not
be.
Our Bodhi. Our
Bodhi
was Bodhika.
Was
Bodhika. Anyway, it looks like a Hindi spelling. Anyway, but they're talking about Thomas Steenberg being more interested in the work than the YouTube clicks.
Yeah, he does have a YouTube channel, by the way, in case you don't know, but he really is on there. And so, yeah, but I'm going to try Thomas Steenberg and Bill Miller. They're in Canada.
I was going to say Bill Miller is Canada.
Yeah, they're in Canada. Bill Miller actually did a lot of really good research on Bigfoot, comparing actual Bigfoot casts with the ones that they said were faked. He did a whole paper on that, and it was phenomenal. I'm trying to remember. There's a video. There's a documentary with both them on it. I'm trying to remember what it was.
Bodhisattva, Buddhist. Okay, I'm good. Sorry. Moving on.
So anyway, I think it's called The Unwanted.
The Unwanted Bigfoot?
The Unwanted Bigfoot. It's not wanted.
Wanted.
Wanted with an O. If you look up The Unwanted Bigfoot, try to find that video. You can watch that. It's got Thomas Steenberg with a lot of his great ideas and some of his finds on there, and Bill Miller, who was his partner. I can't remember what lake. They're on some lake up in Canada, which is like the Bigfoot Mecca in Canada. So, and I think he's still up there. And they used to do tours. So, but I've actually got emailed back and forth a few times with Bill Miller discussing things, and it was pretty cool.
Yep.
So,
okay. Well, anything else going on?
Prairie Fire says he was on the ground level with DeHinden and others.
Thomas Steenberg and
yeah, he was.
Yeah, that's who they're talking about.
Yeah,
so
Steenberg. Yeah.
So anyway, well, I admire that. We do want YouTube clicks because that's what pays a lot of our bills. So thank you very much for liking and sharing. And Daniel, you might want to check your YouTube status. Make sure you're subscribed and that you've clicked the notification bell. YouTube is really good at dumping subscribers and unclicking things, and maybe we should just say, hey, everyone, let's go to Rumble. That's what all the YouTubers are doing. We're going to Rumble now.
Well, and by the way, we are also on Rumble too. So this
will go up simultaneously.
This goes up simultaneously.
Yes, thank you, Mike. Smash that thumbs up button. Share this into the YouTube universe because they won't share it for us.
Yeah.
Blast their bloody eyes.
Yeah.
Anyway, well, hey, Brock, welcome to our Facebook crowd.
Yeah.
And skepticism is important because you don't want to fall for everything. It's like one of my favorite teachers always says, please don't take my word for anything. Go out and test it. Test everything I say. All the best teachers would say, go out, reproduce it. If it doesn't reproduce, it's probably not worth it. It's not real. The facts don't a fact will reproduce itself every time.
Yeah.
So who pulled steel on their other teammates? Oh, that was his question from earlier. Who fired? You might have to educate us, Pyro.
Who pulled steel on their other teammates? I don't know.
Oh, please do tell.
So, yeah. Who pulled the knife on their teammates? Out of the Bigfooting world? Oh, I don't know.
Renee says there's a good one up by How to Hunt. It's about the military and the...
Yeah.
So come on, Pyro. Don't hold out on us, man.
So that's one I don't know. That's a legend that went over my head somewhere that I missed. And like I said, I don't know everything. In fact, I will probably know 10% of what happened in the Bigfoot world. And I'm in this stuff all the time, just to try to keep up with it. And we get a lot of stuff sent, and I find a lot of stuff I'm in a lot of Bigfoot groups on Facebook, and people are posting stuff all the time, and I see stuff that was faked 10 years ago that people are still posting on Facebook saying, hey, anybody know what this is? And it's not from the lack of,
okay, Mike says he's pretty sure that it was DeHinden, one of the 4 horsemen.
Yeah.
But Mike says pretty sure it was DeHinden. He got PO'd at the team he was out with. Not sure if he pulled a gun, but he's the one who snapped on the team. And then Pyro says one of the 4 horsemen,
which would have been DeHinden, and was in that.
Steenberg has a good story, but can't remember. And then DeHinden stormed off on his own.
Yep. And that's probably why he ended up going to the Bigfoot festivals after that and just standing in the back of the
Here's
room
a heckler.
and heckling everybody.
Here, that's the other thing that I want to say, because Scott says it's not so bad these days. I highly disagree, because I see a lot of picking between Bigfooters and bashing between Bigfooters. And I am not going to say any names, but even some of the people that we mentioned tonight who are still around are bashing other Bigfooters. And I'm not going to make up a story as to why they do that, but human behavior is pretty consistent. And when you want what someone else has and can't get it, you do things.
Yeah,
And-
which is unfortunate.
And I think that that's a human behavior thing. You know, someone has maybe a bigger piece of the puzzle, and you want a bigger piece of the puzzle because, you know, we do like, not we, well, okay, yes, we personally, but we as a species, we like accolades. We want to be patted on the back and lauded and handed $1 million prizes and things like that, because that's what we've made important. And when we don't get those things, sometimes it makes people ugly. And we see that in the Bigfoot community. So Squatch Americans, let's not do that.
Yeah, let's not do that.
We want to be known as the land of the
free.
And, yeah.
in the home of the brave Bigfooters.
Yes.
Yeah. So, but anyway,
Brock, let's see what Brock is
Brock
saying.
says,
I've had rocks thrown at me after hearing rock knocking in the Oregon wilderness. Many footprints, 18 or more inches with a 6-foot stride. Where in Oregon are you talking?
yeah, don't give specifics, but give a general area. And if you'd like, please go squatchamerica@gmail.com. Email me.
Go to squatchamerica.com. We have a report form right there for you.
Yes. Let us know.
This is a great question by Bodhi, as in Bodhisattva.
Mm-hmm.
Can you delineate the difference between bashing versus calling out people putting out suspect info?
That is a hard one.
That is a hard one.
But what I would say is, instead of just telling people how crappy they are, I would have to say, and how their evidence is crap or whatever, what you need to do is like what they do in the scientific community, I would say.
The real scientific community.
The real scientific community.
Not the mainline media scientific community.
Right.
There's a difference.
There's a difference. Is try to duplicate their evidence. It's called peer review. And what's really interesting is, a lot of people don't know this, but Dr. Jeff has started a program to peer review Bigfoot evidence. So he has a whole forum for that now, and I forgot what it's called. I don't think he's gone mainstream with it yet, but he's working on it. But that's one of the things that he wants to do, is have a place where we can peer review evidence. And the problem with this in this area, especially this area of research, is there is hoaxes, and that makes life so hard when people are deliberately trying to fool you.
And the other thing is,
and I've been caught.
Regardless of all the evidence that we do have, this particular field of study is still very, what's the word? It's inconclusive. It is unclassified. It's inconclusive. It is subjective, because there has not been that body on the table that we know of.
Yeah, so that I think that's what it is. The Relic Hominid Inquiry website. That's Dr. Jeff's peer review site for Bigfoot evidence.
Yes, Papa says the real scientific community is just as big a mess. It really is, but the scientific method itself is not. I think the biggest, and I want to speak to Body because I love your name, so I'm going to speak from my heart here. Don't hit me. You know what? Whenever human emotion gets involved in something, it always twists everything. And so this is something that I use, coming from my experience in social work and in, my experience with the court system, in that working with people of all ages. And and even my work now with people is when you apply judgment to something, there's a reason why the best bodhisattvas always said don't judge. Just you can listen, you can hold space for people. There is always going to be someone out there trying to sell sand to an Arab. There's always going to be someone out there trying to discredit someone that's credible, and muddy up the water. But the important thing is that we hold space for it all, and at some point, the truth from the truth versus fit, the truth will always out. It will always show itself. And sometimes, like that ancient parable says, sometimes you have to let the weeds grow up with the wheat, because it's really hard to tell the difference when they're like this. So I really try to refrain from judging. Are they exactly right? Are they exactly wrong? Are they trying to hoax? Are they really, really, really passionately convicted about their experience? It's not up to me to determine that. And it'll drive me crazy if I try. And it'll drive him crazy if I go crazy, because it's happened. I can tell you stories.
So Brock says it's Crater Lake,
Crescent Lake,
or
and Summit Lake.
Yeah, that's a very common place. There's lots of reports come from that area. Lots.
Yeah, the internet is a playground for everything.
Yeah.
Again.
Yeah.
And that's why. And by the way, it's not just the internet. Good Morning America is a playground for everything.
Yeah.
And so that's why, it's like, don't believe anything we say. Go out and do your own work.
Yeah. And like I said, and then what we're trying to do here is just basically, as Squatch Americans, you guys, we're not Squatch America. You guys are Squatch America. And so what we're trying to do is just
investigate the
unexplained, not explain the uninvestigated, and to get our evidence, to produce evidence, basically, to add to the pieces of the puzzle, like we said.
So I like what David said. We all have to work hard and stay humble. And David
exactly.
And that's it. That's the thing too. I could generally say, if I'm picking up from someone,
we're gonna star that one.
Yeah, star that one.
Okay.
You can tell by how someone presents themselves whether or not they're humble. And humility doesn't care whether they're believed or not. Humility doesn't care if they get a prize. Humility cares about the truth. And humility also puts the truth out there and then walks away. It's like, do with it what you want, but here it is.
That is.
And humility doesn't get into knockdown, drag out fights over who's got the best piece of the puzzle.
Right.
I want your piece. I want your piece of the puzzle. Give me that piece.
Right.
So.
And it.
Lord God, we're having come to Jesus moments here.
Yeah. But there is something to what Dr. Krantz said years ago, that in that video clip I showed.
We could probably close with that.
Okay.
Not with the,
was that I think a lot of people, past and even present, want to be that guy who wants to get that first definite proof, because after that, like he said, the academic world's going to take over, and all us armchair researchers and us citizen researchers, as Shelly Montana calls us, and I love that she calls us that she's one too, but anyway, that all us citizen researchers are going to get shoved off to the side, and that's going to be sad when it happens, but I want us to be the ones, the citizen researchers, to be the ones to put the evidence on the table, like it's happened so many times in the world of anthropology, especially, or archaeology, or Egyptology, or which is another one of my favorite things, by the way, in case you guys did not know that.
Yep. Both of Egyptology. So I want to, okay, I'm feeling it. So the best way to keep things that that you perceive as untrue from spreading is not to put your attention on them.
Mm-hmm.
Untruths spread because people keep saying, did you hear what so-and-so said about this? Oh my gosh. And then you tell 57 of your friends and they tell 57 of their friends. And pretty soon the lie
Mm-hmm.
or the hoax has more attention than the truth. And I think that we've seen that not just in the Bigfoot community, but in life as a whole. So just don't pay it any mind. There's a favorite line from my favorite movie of all time, Pollyanna, where no, it's not Pollyanna, it's The Parent Trap.
The Parent Trap.
And the housemaid tells the little girl, it's none of your never mind. Someone's spouting off untruths, it's none of your never mind. Eventually they're going to prove themselves idiots.
Mm-hmm.
And you can move on. So maintain your own peace and stay, we maintain our peace, we stay in our lane, and we don't put attention and energy on things that don't merit it. So
Deal. So
dang, that turned into weird stuff.
So we're gonna leave it with that. Just go out and find Bigfoot, people. And what we share together here is like, if you share evidence with me, it's your evidence. I mean, we might send it to other people to get it checked out, whatever, and we'll give you whatever expert advice we can give, which I say that with quotes. But that's your piece of the puzzle. And before we go, I wanted to say we do have some pretty cool guests coming up.
Are we going to tell them who's coming?
Yeah. So next week we'll have Greg Woolheater from Texas. Craig. What did I say? Craig Woolheater. And then after that, we've got Kathy Strain. Who's going to give us another Native American culture anthropologist. So I get to hear her side of stuff. So that's going to be awesome. And then
finally, the night before the Kelso gig, we have coming back with us.
Uh-huh. Oh, you want me to say his
say
name?
the name.
Shane Corson.
Our good friend.
Friend. So
we've got some great guests for you coming up this month. Happy New Year to all of you. I am looking forward to this year. I think great things are coming. Great challenges, of course, but great things nonetheless. So get to the slides, dear.
Okay.
As always, please remember that our job is to investigate the unexplained.
Not to explain the uninvestigated.
So one more time, please like, subscribe, click the notification bell because we do like those YouTube clicks. And you keep watching.
And we'll keep squatching.
Bye.
Bye.